Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are jumping headfirst into the electric heart of the big city.
Yeah, we're talking about that feeling you get, right? That intense, fast, loud energy you find in places like New York, London, Tokyo.
And we're going beyond just the logistics. We're looking at the specific language, the vocabulary, and maybe even the psychological rules you need to know to survive it.
Exactly. We've been digging into some really great material on real-world English conversation, looking at how people talk about this routine.
So our mission today is to give you that shortcut, that inside look. By the time we're done, you'll really get what the famous hustle and bustle actually means on the ground. So let's start with the basics. What really makes a big city daily routine so different from, say, a small town? Yeah. It's got to be more than just more people.
It is. It's so much more. It really boils down to two things, I think. Speed and this need for early preparation. In a city, you're always racing against the clock and against, millions of other people.
Right, who all want the same tiny bit of space at the exact same time.
Precisely. Right. And that race starts, as our sources point out, with a really early alarm clock.
And you're not getting up early to, enjoy a peaceful sunrise.
No, not at all. It's a tactical move. It's pure necessity because you have to factor in the commute.
Okay, so let's define that. The commute is just the trip from home to work, right?
On paper, yes. It's that necessary journey. But in a big city, the commute it's more than a trip. It's like this event that can be an adventure or a total nightmare. And it basically sets the tone for your entire day.
And the first choice you make is how you're going to do it. The sources seem to say that driving is pretty much a non-starter.
Oh, for good reason. Driving in the city is it's defined by frustration. The traffic is terrible. You might think you're saving time, but the stress just isn't worth it.
Which pushes everyone onto public transport. And this is where the language gets interesting. You've got the subway in the US,
the tube in London, the metro, and a lot of other places.
But it's all the same universal experience, right? This underground system that's both an amazing piece of engineering and also a source of daily stress.
It is the ultimate love-hate relationship. You need it, it's fast, but that speed has a cost, and you really feel that cost around 8 a.m.
Yes. The infamous rush hour.
Exactly. That's the time when everyone is going to work and the subway cars become less like a train and more like a human compression chamber.
There's no sitting down, is there?
Never. You're always standing, holding a handle, and this is where that incredible phrase comes from. You're packed like sardines.
Packed like fish in a can. It sounds funny, but the reality is pretty uncomfortable.
It is. It's this weird situation of forced intimacy with total strangers. You're literally chest to back with someone you've never met.
And there's a whole unwritten rule book for that, isn't there?
Absolutely. You have to just stare straight ahead. No eye contact. You pretend the 5 people pressed up against you simply don't exist. It's a survival skill.
A psychological shield. Okay, so if the subway's too much, what about the bus? At least you get to see the city.
You do, and that's a huge advantage. You see the shops, the people, the architecture. You lose all of that when you're underground.
But there's always a but.
There is. The bus has to deal with the number one enemy on the surface. The traffic jam.
Just too many cars, all stopped.
All stopped. And that's when you really hear the city. When the cars aren't moving, the horns start.
That constant honking. It's like the official sound of impatience.
It really is. And that's just one piece of the soundscape. The city is it's a profoundly noisy place. You've got the honking, the police sirens, and underneath it all, the constant noise of construction.
Someone is always fixing a road or putting up a new building.
A new skyscraper, usually.
Right. Those incredibly tall buildings that look like they touch the sky. The sources mention this kind of dual reaction people have to them.
They do. On the one hand, you look up from the street and you feel tiny. Insignificant almost.
But then at night, when they're all lit up,
they're beautiful. Yeah. Absolutely. They're a symbol of power and ambition. They really are the signature of a city.
And that feeling, that pressure, it carries right on through the workday, doesn't it? The pace never lets up.
Not for a second. Even lunchtime is a race. And just walking down the street, the culture demands speed. If you walk slowly, you are an obstacle.
You'll hear that, "Excuse me, move, please."
Oh, you will. And that constant, fast, busy activity, all that noise, that's it. That's the definition of hustle and bustle.
I like that phrase. It captures the energy. It sounds exciting, but also tiring.
It's both. It makes you feel awake, like you're part of something big, but it's also completely draining. It's an exhilarating kind of fatigue.
And what's fueling this? Lunch. A lot of people bring their own to save money to budget.
Right, but if you need something fast, the go-to option is often the food truck.
Little kitchens on wheels.
Exactly, parked on a street corner. They're fast, they're usually delicious, tacos, burgers, whatever. They're like a perfect symbol of the city's need for speed and efficiency.
And it's diversity too, right? That's a huge part of the appeal.
A massive part. You can find food from literally any country: Italian, Chinese, Indian, Mexican. It feels like you can travel the world just by walking down the street at dinner time.
And that access, that choice,
Yeah.
that's the big trade-off. It's the convenience.
That's the main selling point. That's what you get in return for the noise and the crowds. Everything is nearby. Shops, doctors, movies.
The sources had that one perfect example that stuck with me.
Yeah.
Being able to buy an emergency cookie at midnight.
Yes. That says it all, doesn't it? That level of 247 convenience is what people are paying for, both financially and, psychologically.
But that's the critical question, isn't it? Is the emergency cookie, is it really worth it? Is it enough to compensate for the daily grind?
I think that's the core tension of city life, because that hustle and bustle, as exciting as it is, it really takes a toll. You have your commute home, which is often just as tiring.
And even though the city never sleeps, the people in it have to. You have to find a way to switch off.
You absolutely have to. When you're just surrounded by concrete and noise all day, you start to crave quiet. You need an escape.
And that escape is the oasis.
A quiet place, right in the middle of all the noise. And for city dwellers, that almost always means green space.
The big parks, like Central Park in New York or Hyde Park in London.
Exactly. These places aren't just nice to haves, they're essential. They're like decompression chambers. Sitting on a bench, watching birds, just forgetting the traffic for an hour. That's how you find balance.
Balance seems to be the key word for survival then.
It's everything. Without finding those moments of quiet, the energy of the city will just burn you out.
It's interesting how that struggle for balance plays out in other ways too, like even in how people dress.
Yes, the fashion and identity part of this is fascinating. You see this complete contradiction.
Okay, how so?
Well, in the business districts, it's all about conformity. Suits, smart dresses. It's like a uniform, a kind of professional armor you have to wear. It feels like a fashion show, but a very strict one.
Right, but outside of those zones.
It completely flips. The city, because it's so big and anonymous, is actually incredibly accepting.
You can wear whatever you want.
Anything. A funny hat, bright pink pants. And the best part is, nobody cares. Everyone is too wrapped up in their own hustle to even notice, let alone judge you.
So the anonymity that makes the commute so lonely is the same thing that gives you freedom.
It's the ultimate paradox. It allows you to really be yourself in a way that you often can't in a smaller community where everyone knows you. The city lets you be both the conformist in the suit and the artist in the wild outfit, all in the same day.
That's a really elegant way to put it. So we've covered a lot of ground here. Let's do a quick review of that core vocabulary.
Sure. So we have the daily journey, the commute, which gets intense during rush hour.
And on the streets, you've got the traffic jam.
Looming over everything, you have the skyscraper.
And the overall energy, the defining feeling, is the hustle and bustle.
Right. But more than the words, I think you now have a feel for the psychology of it all. The need to get up early, the rules of being packed like sardines.
And the high price of convenience, which leads to that critical need to find an oasis, to find balance.
Yeah, the sources make it clear. The city demands a lot from you. Constant effort, aggressive speed. But in return, it gives you endless options and, maybe most importantly, this freedom to be who you are.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you to mull over. If the city's energy demands so much constant effort just to keep up, does the value of finding those rare, quiet moments, that hour in the park, actually become more important than all the convenience? Does that search for balance become the single most important skill for actually succeeding in a modern city?
Something to think about maybe on your next commute.
Thank you for joining us on The Deep Dive.
Until next time.